Hey everyone, I'm just gonna get my screen set up and then get sharing. Thank you for coming to this third of three trainings on the 313 upgrade. This one is on the public catalog and the staff catalog. And just a reminder that if your video is on, you will be recorded and you will be on YouTube or Loom. Um, so just be aware of that. Okay, we should be ready to roll. The chat is open. If you have questions as we go, feel free to jump in and ask. Katie and Elizabeth will be monitoring the chat for me in case I don't happen to see your question or comment. About me, I am Kat Donnell. I am the Membership Engagement Specialist at the Pennsylvania Integrated Library System, home of the SPARC Consortium, which is what all of you wonderful people are a part of. Today we're going to go over the updates to the public catalog and the staff catalog. These include library groups being searchable on the staff catalog side, as well as shelving location groups being searchable on the staff catalog side. Well, there's a couple of updates to carousels that we'll talk about, and we'll just kind of do a refresher on carousels in general. And then there are a few other notable updates to the catalog on both the staff and the public side that we'll want to point out to you. Do not forget that you can try any of these things that I'm showing you on the test server. That link is right there on the slide, test.sparkpa.org/eg/staff. You should be able to log in with your regular staff account and password. And if you are unable to log in, please send us a support ticket and we will get you all set up. We also have a 313 upgrade hub, which is on our support website, support.sparkpa.org. And all of this that I'm telling you today, as well as the cataloging and reports, training, recordings, and documentation are all up on there. The upgrade will be overnight on November 6th. So we've kind of been saying November 6th, but really November 7th is the day you will come in and it will be upgraded to version 3.13. You may need to re-register your workstations on that day. We also have another checklist of items for you to keep in mind as you are adjusting to the upgrade when you come in on November 7th. And you can always find us at support@sparkpa.org if you're having any issues on the day of the upgrade or before if you have any questions. We are here for you. Okay, let's talk about library groups. So with this new upgrade, you can search the staff catalog using a library group or a shelving location group. It is important to note that a library group is an org, are org units that can be affiliated outside of the hierarchy of the way that the org unit tree is set up. So we can have unaffiliated systems sharing items, and you can search all of the systems at once instead of having to bounce out of your system, scope it to a different system. It's a lot easier now to just search all at once. And this is for our libraries that resource share with each other. This is going to be applicable to them. If you see what we're showing you today and you want to talk about resource sharing or starting resource sharing, feel free to reach out to us. So an example of resource sharing amongst unaffiliated systems would be like Blair County, and they resource share with Cambria County, Lackawanna County, and they have another, Blair County has another resource sharing group, which is Blair County, Bedford County, Huntington County. So they have a couple options that will show up on the drop-down menu when they're on the staff side. Extremely important, and I'm going to show you this live, but you will not see the other libraries' holdings on the item table like you're used to. If it's in the search results, it's going to be available for you to put a hold on it. And you'll see what I mean in 1 second. So when you are searching the catalog and you are searching in your library group or shelving location group, we'll do a search
The ones that were in competition.
for, since it's Halloween, and for me, it's sort of Halloween all year round, I'm going to search for some horror books. So you can see here that these are my search results that match. And it says that there are 0 items at Altoona, which is where I am searching primarily, and then 0 items in my county system, but there is 1 item that is available for me to place a hold. So I have the show more details toggled, and as I said, you cannot see the items unless they're in your org unit tree, unless you're all under the same system. So that's what I meant by you will not see the items in the item table. It is not entirely invisible though. You can go to the holdings view, and I can see that there's a library in Cambria County, which is in this resource sharing group that I was searching in. And so that item is technically available for me to put a hold on it. So that is why it showed up in the search results. So just know, again, you won't see the items, but if it's showing up here in the search results, you can trust that it's available for a hold through your resource sharing group. If there are any questions on that, feel free to put them in the chat. You'll notice when you're searching a library group that you can't filter to a specific shelving location because these two search axes are mutually exclusive. So you have to, if you search in a shelving location, you can't search the library group and vice versa. If I do turn that off, I can search through specific shelving locations. All right, and then as for shelving location groups, we can try that. So an example that we have here in Adams County is there is a group of shelving locations that are all children's items. So this makes searching in a specific area of your library or for a specific age group or type of book. This makes it a little bit easier than having to come in here and sort of click all of these different shelving locations. You can group them here, search them all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to share that Adams County is only testing this at the moment. They don't have it live on their real server. So you won't see this on the production server on the after the upgrade. But if you work at Adams and you want to test it out, feel free. And it only applies to the Gettysburg location.
Okay. Okay, so the Gettysburg location has the children's first floor, second floor shelving location groups.
Mhm.
That is a good point, Elizabeth. I just this was the first library I found that had shelving location groups. So
I
yeah, I
think
think
they're
it's
the only one. I think
are
that
they? Okay.
we didn't have any and they were testing it. So if anybody else wants to use these, just put in a support ticket. We don't even have documentation on it yet. I don't. There's evergreen documentation, but we'll help you do it, and then we'll make docs so that other people can do it. So if you're interested, let us know.
Yeah, sort of a guinea pig situation at this point. So Andrea asked how we make shelving location groups. So hopefully that answered that. Just reach out to us and we'll work with you on it. And then we'll be able to document exactly what to do and everybody, and we can share it with everybody. Okay, awesome. So those are shelving location groups and library groups. And if nobody has any further questions on those, we will move along to talk about carousels. Okay, carousels. So as a reminder, this is what a carousel looks like. Um, it is a carousel because it is showing you a bunch of items, and if you go far enough, it will start over again. So it'll go round and round in a circle of items. These can be created by libadmins, and by that I mean they can actually create them and then map them to a specific library. We have now copy catalogers and original catalogers are also able to do this. So if you are interested in trying this out and you want to do the local cataloger and copy cataloger training, you can do that and do everything I'm showing you here. I know some people have also had directors request permissions for specific users, but that's sort of a case by case basis. So the carousels, this letter B, that is actually the interface where you create carousels. And the carousel library mappings is the interface for actually taking a carousel that you've already created and telling it where to show on which catalog. So I'll show you those interfaces, or at least where they live. So carousel library mappings and carousels are right here under local administration. There are 4 types of carousels that we use. 3 of them are automatic, which means that they populate automatically based on certain criteria. So this one, newly cataloged items, is an automatic carousel type. It pulls in newly cataloged items that belong to this specific library and are in this shelving location. And that will automatically refresh itself. So every time you catalog new items under the shelving location, it will automatically pop up on this new books carousel. So it's sort of a set it and forget it type of carousel. And the other types of automatic carousels are recently returned and top circulated. Same idea with those. Those will pull in the most recently returned items that are owned by a specific library or libraries. And there's also top circulated items at a specific library or libraries within certain shelving locations. So there's just some of the options for carousels that you can set up. Some updates to the carousels in general are applicable to the manual type of carousel, which is the type of carousel that does not automatically update. You'll take a bucket, either a record bucket or an item bucket, and connect it to a carousel. Before this 313 upgrade, you could create carousels from record buckets only. Now, with this update, you can create them from item buckets. And one use case for using item buckets to create carousels is we know some libraries have existing item buckets that they created for like a holiday or a program or a display. And you could take those existing item buckets and make them into carousels and show them off on your public catalog. There are other ways to make manual carousels as well. There's a variety of ways. Like I said, you can scan items and into an item bucket. You can also now go into the item status page and scan a bunch of items and make those into a record bucket. Into a carousel. So that's a new feature as well. You can also search the catalog and add a bunch of items to your basket and then create a bucket from the basket. The B word. So the basket is the temporary holding place for the items that you're interested in, whereas the bucket is like the permanent home for those items. So I can select all of these items. Let's say I want to add items from this search, this temporary basket. This will disappear once I log out and the cache clears. So if I want to keep it for longer than just this session, I want to add that basket to a bucket. And I can add it to either an existing bucket, like if I wanted to keep adding things to my horror carousel, I could do that. I could also make a new bucket. So that's another way that you can make a manual carousel. You can also go right into the carousels interface and create a manual carousel. And then that will make, instead of making a bucket, like instead of you making a bucket, the system will make a bucket that you can then put items into. And it'll be called a system generated bucket, which is what we saw with the New at Altoona carousel. System generated bucket. So then if I want to click into the bucket and see, again, these are the items that are pulled in automatically. These are the things that are going to be showing up on the carousel. If I want to look at my horror manual carousel and look at the bucket, add more items to the bucket, I can find records to add here and add them. So there's many ways to make carousels. Another update for this 313 is that before, when you would make a carousel from a bucket, it would make this long URL, and every time you made a change to it, it would make another copy. So it would sort of be like this long gobbledygook bucket title that would be associated with the carousel. Now it will no longer do that. It will use the original bucket, and you'll be able to make changes to the bucket that will then be reflected in the carousel instead of having to make copies upon copies. very important to note that this is only for new manual carousels. This is not for any carousels that already exist. If you want this to be, if you want to take your existing carousels and make a copy of them and make a new carousel from them, then you'll be able to do all of the updates just in the bucket. But if they're just like the old version of the bucket, it will not do these fancy new things. So you can edit, if I wanted to edit, say, the Horror for Teens carousel, and if I wanted to remove an item from it, it will automatically show in the carousel. So the changes are all instant, they're all live, and you don't even have to go into the carousels interface anymore to make these changes. You can actually just go right to your item bucket or your record bucket and make the change, and it will happen magically. I'm just looking at the chat. In process. So I know of a library that has created an in process or like on order carousel. I will have to ask them how they did it. It is not like an obvious. I think they may have like created a manual bucket and just added the in process or on order carousels, on order items to that bucket, and then that's how they have to do it, yeah, manually. So it's not something that can just automatically happen.
Yeah, so and I think that Jim's library uses acquisition, so if you're batch importing records, then we can do it that way. Once the records are batch imported, that can be made into a bucket, which can be made into a carousel. So there's a couple ways to do it.
Yeah,
In
they're
process,
myriad.
in process is OPAC visible, so you could probably just use the new items. So
Oh,
the
recently added.
recently added, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it depends
only
if you want everything or if you want a separate one for things that aren't in the building yet.
Right. Move along. Yeah, Jim, you can always test that out on the test server if you want to see. It was updated on August 28th, I think. So it will have some test data for you to play around with and see what that carousel ends up looking like. And you can kind of see like how you can, make it work for you with the in-process records. Other updates on the public side, landmarks and headings have been added, which just means like in the code for the catalogs, they have these like headings that differentiate between sections of the page so that people with screen readers can skip to different sections. They also added some links that will do the same thing, that will help them skip to different content on the page. I have a link on these slides, which I'll share, that shows all of the accessibility updates that they have made to this version. If you're interested in seeing more detail about what other things they are working on or have worked on. Another sort of minor, but not really minor update is that the quick clear X button used to only be on the keyword search. So you would have to like backspace all the way in the numeric search or the mark search. Now they've added this little X, so you can just click X and it will disappear, which, saves you that little bit of time and hopefully makes your life a little bit easier. other updates, on the patron side, patrons can now edit their own preferred name. Before it was something that was on the staff side only, and now they can go into their preferences, this menu down here, personal information, and go to their preferred name and click change, and they can, enter their whatever they would like to be called, and it will show up on the staff side. So that's nice that patrons will now have a little bit more control over that. Ooh, another good one is that the public side of the catalog will now warn the patron if they attempt to submit a hold without any notification selected. So I tried to place a hold without having yes by email, yes by phone, or yes by text. So none of these boxes are checked. So this alert box comes up and says, are you sure that you want to continue, because you haven't let us know how to get in touch with you? Before, in previous versions, holds were allowed to be submitted without notification options, which could prevent people from knowing when their item was available, when their hold was available, which could lead to frustration, sadness, despair. So that is a fun new update. Patrons will now be able to view upcoming library closures. It'll show the next 10 library closures on the library info page, which is that page in the OPAC where if you click on the library name in a search result, it will bring you to this info page with the opening hours. This section of closures is new. It's important to be mindful of what you put as your reason for closure, because patrons will not be able to view that wording. So that is different from how it's been in the past. These are the closures that you've added in the close dates editor on the administration side of the catalog. Let me check the chat. They will be able to continue if they do not choose a notification. So if they do ignore that alert, yeah, they will be able to keep. But you can say, this is something that this was an alert on the page. It let you know, and to be aware of that for next time. Let me look at other questions. Okay. That about does it for my content for today. Again, for the 313 feature documentation or the 313 hub, there's this shortened little URL if you want to go right to that article on our support page. And as always, if you need anything, you can email us at support@sparkpa.org. And if anybody has questions that they want to ask out loud, feel free. We can turn off the recording in a few seconds if you don't want your question recorded. But otherwise, thank you very much for coming.